right. All right. Hello and welcome. Hello and welcome. Thank you all so much for being here. Welcome to today's episode of the Empowered Immigrant Live. My name's Otis Landerholm. I'm filming this. It's the 8th of January, 2025. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome. Come on in. As you're tuning in today, I'd love it if people would be willing to share where you're tuning in from. All right, so if you could do that for me, I'd appreciate that. I see a lot of folks coming in, especially on TikTok right now. Appreciate you. So welcome. Today on the Empowered Immigrant Live, we're going to talk about how Trump is expanding the travel ban even further in 2026. All right, and so welcome. Thank you for being here. I see folks tuning in. I really appreciate you. Remember, the Empowered Immigrant Live is here to train, teach, inspire, and empower immigrants to make the most out of immigration laws and to make the most out of their lives. All right? Today, our theme is that Trump is expanding the travel ban even further in 2026. And so that's what we'll discuss. My question for everybody is, hey, do you want to get a green card this year? Do you want to apply for asylum or for citizenship or for a U visa or VAWA, or figure out what the best solution is, or figure out what the best option is for you to up-level your life through an immigration legal process? Because if so, go for it. And if so, I'd love to help you with it. My firm is on a mission to win 10,000 immigration cases in the next 10 years, 10,000 cases by 2035. We would love for your case to be one of them. All right? So thanks for being here and welcome. And I see folks tuning in and introducing themselves in the chat. I appreciate that. That's awesome. And as I'm talking and sharing my topic today, if you have questions, please feel free to submit your questions. I'll do my best to answer them right here, right now, live. Okay? So before I get into it, really disturbing news. I don't know if you saw the news recently from Minnesota. A woman protester was murdered, was shot and killed by an ICE officer. All right, did you see that? And that's insane, people. It's insane. And my heart and goes out to this person's family and her child, and it's a very, very horrible situation, and that ICE officer needs to go to prison. All right, that's like, we need some accountability here, because that is absolutely outrageous. Okay, that happened, and if you aren't aware of what happened, check the news, right? But it's really, really awful from Minneapolis, Minnesota. So I wanted to share that. I also wanted to share a brief update from my adjustment of status interview yesterday. I wanted to share congratulations to my client. The case isn't over yet, but we were very nervous and we were crossing our fingers that he might be detained in his interview in San Francisco yesterday, because he is under 245I, right? He entered the country without permission and he's adjusting status through 245I. And we were nervous that he could be detained. We had prepared what's called a petition for a writ of habeas corpus for him and on his behalf, just in case he were detained. So if he had been detained, I was ready to sue the government about it. All right, but thankfully he was not detained by ICE, and it looks like he's probably going to be approved. Hopefully, I'm knocking on wood, hopefully he's approved here in the next couple weeks, all right? But I wanted to share that. That happened yesterday. And, what's the updates, what's the latest? I mean, as I've been saying in my episodes and on video, asylum applications right now that are all asylum applications that are pending are paused, all right? And all applications from people from the travel ban countries are also temporarily paused, okay? So what has changed? What has changed is that pause and that travel ban has now expanded, and it is expanding into 2026 and beyond, all right? So what do I mean by that? Originally, there were 19 countries on the travel ban list. Now that list has been expanded to 40 countries, 39 plus Palestine, right? And so I'll go through and read the complete list now. It's quite a lengthy list, so bear with me, all right? But each of these countries now have a ban of entering the United States. And their applications that are currently pending are paused. They're not going to receive an answer. And so that's what's happening. So the complete list right now are the following countries, all right? Afghanistan, Angola, Antigua and Barbuda, Benin, Burkina Faso, Burma, all right, also called Myanmar, Burundi, Chad, Republic of the Congo, Cote d'Ivoire, Cuba, Dominica, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Gabon, the Gambia, Haiti, Iran, Laos, Libya, Malawi, Mali, Mauritania, Niger, Nigeria, Palestine, or traveling on your passport from Palestine, Senegal, Sierra Leone, Somalia, South Sudan, Sudan, Syria, Tanzania, Togo, Tonga, Turkmenistan, which is modified, Venezuela, Yemen, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. All right? I heard reports saying that's like 1/5 of all would-be travelers to the United States are from one of those countries. 1/5, 20%, all right, of would-be travelers to the United States are from one of those countries. It's a very, very large amount of people that are affected by this and a very large amount of applications that are going to be paused because of this, all right? This pause includes immediate relatives of U.S. citizens, at least for many of the countries. Some are on a partial ban, some are on a full ban. It includes many different types of applications. I mentioned asylum, but even U.S. citizenship applications, even applications for, depending on the category, work permits. All right. It includes applications for things like U visas, applications for other types of immigration status are going to be paused because of this. Okay? And so wanted to share that. I'm sorry that we're in this situation. If you are affected by it and if you want to understand what your rights are and what your options are and what the best strategy is, feel free to reach out, talk to your attorney. If you don't have an attorney, please feel free to contact my office. We're here to help. We'd love to help. All right? And that's true for everyone. If you have a question about your immigration situation, please feel free to reach out. Okay? So, best advice, of course, best advice is, the Trump administration right now and going forward are making our lives more difficult. They're going to deny more cases. They're going to detain more people. They're going to deport more people. And they're going to cause more and more delays. All right, and we want to be prepared, and we want to be ready to fight back against this. We want to be prepared to sue them, all right, when we're able to do that and when they violate our rights. We want to prepare our cases so well, so professionally, that if they deny us, we can appeal. If they deny us, we can sue when we're able to. And we want to stay informed, and we want to stay up to date, and we want to stay in communication, and that's what our live sessions are all about. Okay, so thank you. I see some people are asking their questions already. All right, so thank you for asking your questions. I will start answering the questions that I can, and so send me your questions. I'll do my best. All right. So Mike BA 8600, you say hello, sir, from CT. I think that's Connecticut, right? Hello, sir, from Connecticut. I do have an appointment for biometrics in New York. It's asylum based. Is there a possibility to be detained? I have clean records, not even traffic tickets. All right, that's a great question. I don't know if you have an attorney in New York who's familiar with what is actually happening on the ground in New York. I am not super familiar. I have had clients hire us from New York and Connecticut and throughout the United States. In our office, and really in my experience, I have never had a client detained at a biometrics appointment. All right. I have had multiple clients that were nervous and fearful about going to the biometrics appointment. I have had clients where I advised them that there was a significant risk that they might be detained at their biometrics appointment, and yet to date, my office has never had a client who was detained at their biometrics appointment. You have a valid application for asylum, that's good. You don't have any criminal record, that's good. I think that the likelihood of detention at your biometrics appointment is likely quite low, and it is still possible. And so, like it's theoretically possible, but in my experience, it's very infrequent that people are detained when going to get their biometrics taken. That's my experience. All right, that's the best answer that I got for you here today. But thank you for asking that. Let us know after you go to the appointment. Like, you got to go to your biometrics if you want the benefit, right? You got to go to biometrics if you want to proceed with your case. By and large, my advice is go. Don't be afraid of going, like go, but do be prepared, right? If you were detained, who are you going to call? Is somebody prepared to help you and to fight for you if that were to happen? All right? And so, and then go with all eyes open and go knowing what your game plan is and go empowered, understanding what you're going to do. And then my hope is that you'll be fine. I believe that you likely will be fine, and come back to our live session afterwards and let us know that you're fine and let us know how you did. Okay? So that's that. Eat Zedek 102. I see your note here. You say, so USCIS paused my G325A for deferred action for more evidence, and I gave them that. Now, how long does it take to receive an answer? I got that. So deferred action, are you saying through like military deferred action? Because military deferred action is impossible to track. It's a very frustrating process. We've had several clients in several cases where it took years. All right, we're talking like 3-4 years to receive an answer on a military deferred action case. Very frustrating. We have seen cases that go quicker than that, but it's a long, slow process. All right, and if it's military deferred action, they don't publish it, right? And it's dependent by the field office. It's a very weird, unique type of immigration service, and quite frustrating, honestly. But that is the way it is. All right. Let's see. But thank you for being here, and thank you for asking that question. All right, tumbleweeds are real. Great to see you here. Thank you for asking this. So you say, when the new public charge stuff goes into effect, will it apply for cases filed on set date or retroactively? All right, thank you for raising this. So the way we have seen it in the past is that changes to, for example, the public charge doctrine go into effect after for cases filed after a specific date, not for cases filed before that date. Okay? And so that's typically the way when new rules go into action and will take effect. Typically, they will take effect going forward. Normally the only way to apply things retroactively, sometimes the government tries to apply things retroactively, and then there are lawsuits filed challenging that. Normally, the only way to go retroactive is when Congress specifically requires or specifically puts that in the law that this is supposed to be applied retroactively. And so normally it's Congress that has the power to do that, but it requires actually passing a new law. Okay? All right, let's see. I see a question here. Oh, it's for medical deferred action. That's interesting. All right, my belief is it's the same thing. It's done by the field office. It is not traceable on USCIS's normal website. All right, and it'll take a long time. Okay. Let's see. I see a question here on TikTok from A.P.C. 954, you say, I applied for an I-130 in March 2025. Do you think I should hear something soon? I'm a U.S. citizen. March 2025, I-130 for who? For a spouse, for a sibling, for a parent. March 2025, yes, maybe you'll hear something soon. You should hear something, if it's a spouse, you should hear something, within a year is typical. All right. Within a year, typical. I mean, we have seen cases where it takes longer than that also, a year and a half or so. All right. Efren Martinez, do you think the new DUI law will pass? It's hard for me, hard for me to know. There's a bill pending making DUIs a inadmissible offense. All right. And so inadmissible but waivable, right? So you could apply for waivers if you're in a relationship with a U.S. citizen spouse who would suffer extreme hardship if your waiver were denied, right? And so that's the bill that's out there. Do I think that that bill will pass? It's possible in this environment. And so people with DUIs on the books, be mindful of that. You might be wise to file your case sooner rather than later and hope that that bill doesn't get applied retroactively. There's lots of strategies. You might look into post-conviction relief for that DUI if you're eligible for that. You might think about it and talk with an immigration attorney who knows this stuff before, like now, before anything were to pass. But nothing has passed, right? It's like I don't want to really speculate. It's not easy for bills to be passed into the law. They can do it. They did it with the Lake and Riley Act, right? But so we'll see. My answer, Everett Martinez, is that I think it could pass. I do. I think it could pass. And for people that are affected by that, you might take precaution ahead of time, especially if you don't have a qualifying relative for a waiver. A U.S. citizen or green card holding spouse, or a U.S. citizen or green card holding parent, right? That's what you would need to file a waiver. All right, Mani Gotra, you say, hello, thank you for being here. You say, can I get a PD for an asylum with a solid reason? This was very common, PD, prosecutorial discretion to close an asylum case. Very common under Obama and under Biden, and very almost impossible under the Trump administration. And so probably not. All right, the answer is probably not. I'm not saying you shouldn't try. I'm not saying it's absolutely impossible. That's not accurate, but it's pretty close to impossible right now. All right, so so that's something you want to be mindful of. All right, orders straight from the Department of Homeland Security. Right, they are not willing to join motions for prosecutorial discretion. It'd be pretty difficult to get right now. All right, Sam, you ask, is a summary offense related to domestic, and you mean domestic violence, is that deportable? And the answer is yes. All right, crimes of domestic violence is a deportability ground under 237A2 of the Immigration Nationality Act. Like, yes it is. So be mindful of that. Talk it over with your attorney. And the question also is, are you deportable for that? Or are you inadmissible for it, right? So there's always there's an analysis that needs to be done depending on your immigration status. Are you subject to the laws regarding deportability, or are you subject to the laws regarding inadmissibility? And that depends on whether or not you have been admitted, all right? And so for more about your specific situation and how that offense may or may not affect your case, like I'm not saying that it will actually affect your case. To do that, we would have to do a consultation. We would need to really get to the bottom of it, okay? The other thing I'll say, Sam, is actually, it's got to be a categorical crime of domestic violence to make a person deportable. It's not that, so it'll depend on state law and how that state law is interpreted by the Board of Immigration Appeals. All right? So it's not true that like everything that's quote unquote related to domestic violence in every state in the 50 states in the United States makes a person automatically deportable under immigration law. There's an analysis that needs to be done. Okay. Oh, and if there's no arrest, so that's an interesting. You're saying that the issues are fixed between spouses and there was no arrest. So if there was, like, the question is, was there a conviction? It's got to be a quote unquote conviction to make somebody quote unquote deportable. Okay, so not so to make somebody quote unquote inadmissible if you're inadmissible for immigration related reasons. Anyway, feel free to contact our office, Sam, and we can do that analysis for you. Okay, for your situation. Zedek, you say, have a blessed day. I appreciate you for answering my question. Hey, you're welcome. Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. Have a great day, too. Tohidus, you say, should a person with a SIJS green card visit back home with no criminal record? You did 2 times before. Cool. You know, my best advice is talk to your attorney to get like really clear advice about your situation. But if you have a green card, you have a green card. And a green card is a travel document. And the perhaps nuance would be, are you from one of the 40 countries that's now on the expanded travel ban? Although, even if you are, folks with green cards should be allowed to travel back into the U.S., but you might be wise to really talk it over with your attorney first, just to make sure you get clear and good legal advice about your travel. But that's the best advice. All right. Let's see, Lila KP, you say, what is different for people with inspection and people without inspection, but both of them came illegally? What difference for the benefit? Okay, thank you for asking this. So if somebody came in with inspection, then you're saying that they came illegally? Like, are you sure? Like, if they were inspected and allowed in to the United States, did they come illegally? Like maybe not. Maybe they presented, or maybe they did, right? Maybe they presented a visa that belonged to somebody else or something. They were inspected, they were admitted in error. Like, okay, that might, but anyway, to answer your question, this is a great and important question. The primary difference is that when people are applying to adjust status, for example, imagine this person has married a U.S. citizen. In order to adjust status in the United States, there's 3 requirements. The first requirement is that you have to have been inspected and admitted into the country, even if it was in error. Okay? And so that's the very first requirement. If a person came in without inspection and admission, they're not eligible to adjust status to get a green card, even through marriage to a U.S. citizen. All right? What? You've got 3 kids and you've been in the country for 20 years and you're married to a United States citizen who wants to petition for you, you still can't adjust status just because you crossed the border without permission once back in the 1990s when the border was like hardly even managed? Well, yeah, that's right. That's the way it works. All right? And so what do you do instead? You have to consular process, and you have to file a waiver, and it's a giant case, and it takes years, and that's the way it is. Okay? Versus if you came in with inspection and admission, now it's a straightforward process. You can get your green card in 8 months. Okay? If you're married to that U.S. citizen. Even if you overstayed your visa, even if you're illegal now, you can still adjust status as long as you were inspected and admitted or paroled initially. Got it? That's the way the law is written. That's the way Congress passed the law. That is the law. And that's the way it works. So, Layla, thank you very much for asking that. It's good. All right, Sam, you're welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you for asking yours. You say you pleaded guilty, paid a fine in the district court. Okay, so you do have a conviction. Okay, so thank you for saying that. You're not alone in that. Have an attorney really look at it, and we can give you good advice. All right. Tony, you say, where are you located? We're in Oakland, California. We fight cases throughout the United States, right? And we have clients throughout the U.S., but we're located, like I'm physically right now in Oakland, California. Beautiful Bay Area. Sun is shining outside. Where are you located? I hope you're in a nice place. Hope you're doing well. All right. Eat Zedek, you say, one more question. Any news for DACA in the incoming months? Very likely. All right, very likely we're going to hear some news about DACA. We've been waiting for news on DACA since October, right? There's a proposed settlement that's been just kind of lingering and waiting for the judge to do what the judge is going to do in the Fifth Circuit in Texas, and yeah, so we're gonna see what happens, and I do expect. Thank you for asking that. I do expect news about DACA here in the next few months. Okay. All right, everybody. Well, thank you all so much for being here. I really appreciate each of you. Thank you for giving me some of your time, spending some of your time here with me. Thanks also for your participation here. Everybody that asked a question, really appreciate you. That's awesome. For everybody, if this was useful, if this was helpful, hey, please take a moment, share this, like this, give us a little heart, give us a thumbs up. It helps the internet understand that what we're doing here is, we're trying to share information that's actually useful. And if you want to follow our content, the best way to do that is to go to our channel in YouTube, type in Lander Home Immigration into YouTube, and hit the subscribe button. All right? That's the best way to do it. Leela, I see your question. What about parents who have children who are over 21, but they came illegally, but they expected they can adjust their status here? Yeah, if they came illegally, anybody that came illegally cannot adjust their status. All right, it's like that first requirement to be eligible to adjust status. You have to have entered with inspection, admission, or parole. Okay, and so that's the way it is. That's the way it is. People talk about, the anchor baby idea that Republicans love to point to as a problem, as a quote-unquote problem. Yeah, it's actually a myth. All right, there are so many parents who, like their kids are U.S. citizens. They're now 21. They waited 21 years without issue in the U.S., paying their taxes, working, right, being contributing members to society, and now after all this time, they still can't fix their papers. It is crazy. All right, and the law needs to change there, but that is the state of the law, right? Unless they have a 245I eligible petition from before 2001, all right, or unless they have a qualifying relative for a waiver. And that's the law. That's the way it is. All right. So that's all I got here for today. Thank you all so much, everyone. Really appreciate each of you. My name's Otis Landerholm. I'm the founding attorney of Landerholm Immigration, A.P.C., where we fight for your American dream. I'm also a certified specialist in immigration nationality law and the founding attorney here at Landerholm Immigration. So thank you all so much for being here. I really appreciate each of you. Make it a great day, and we'll see you next time on our next episode of the Empowered Immigrant Live. Thanks a lot. Take care. Bye-bye.